And now my top 10 questions for aspiring screenwriters. Do you have an artist's mentality? And what I mean is you'll need a bit of insanity as you stare into this dark void of the unknown so you can fight your fears. So it won't cripple you. You can actually start and finish a project and say, you know what, it's okay if it's not perfect. You'll need to withstand continued rejection, criticism, and failure. And sometimes you won't make any money. You have to have this burning passion as an artist. And if you're okay with all of this, you just might have what it takes. Now, have you mastered screenplay format and structure? As I mentioned before, it's what separates the amateur from the professional. I find many aspiring writers have a serious lack of knowledge about screenplay format. Producers, directors, and executives immediately will recognize if you don't have enough respect for your craft to know proper format that you're not a professional. It's going to harm you in the long run. Do you overwrite and micromanage the screenplay? We've talked about the overwriting before. You have to, less is more. Don't be afraid that they're not going to get it. This is not a novel that you're writing. It's a screenplay. It's precious real estate on that blank page. You only have so many pages to write a script. Do you respect the mountain you're climbing? It's another important one. Are you humble? Do you think you're going to, just overnight become a huge success? Or you realize you're going to have to work at this and write more than one screenplay? Are you willing to give the time necessary to create a viable body of work? Like I said, one script's not going to do it. It was my 5th spec that finally sold. So it's a long time for you to finally, find your voice and have the experience and confidence to know that you can be hired to write a screenplay and finish it on time. Are you constantly writing new material? This is vitally important. You're one script wonder, as I say. Sometimes I get a screenplay and I say, okay, this was good, but you have another one? I don't. Do you have any other ideas? Not really. I mean, if one script opens that door, you'd better have 3 or 4 to back it up. So what I'm saying is don't be too eager to get your material out there until you build sort of a solid body of work. Now, have you found your unique voice and passion for genre? We've talked about genre before. If you have a passion for a particular genre, it's going to drive you to learn that genre and become proficient. If you really love horror movies and that's what you want to write, then focus on that. Don't spend your time writing an action movie or something you think might sell. And are you humble and practice humility with confidence? I mean, this is important. Never consider yourself superior to your craft. You have to recognize those who went before you and learn from them. If you can find a mentor, it's fantastic. A screenwriter who's been in the business for a while, who would take you under the wing. You're carving out a screenwriting career is like climbing your own Mount Everest, and you will be humbled at the enormity of the journey. And if you're not humble, the business will quickly humble you by how long it takes to get anything done or reach any level of success. And number 10, are you patient? You must be patient because this is a long-haul journey. You can't be in it for the short run and think that overnight you're going to be a success. As I said, it was 6 years after graduating film school for me before I was able to achieve my first professional screenwriting job. So it's a long-haul journey. And now my top 10 daily disciplines of a screenwriter. Act like a professional in all interactions. I don't care what you're doing, who you're meeting with. You act like a professional even if they are not. This is how you build your reputation. It means turning in projects when you say that you're going to turn them in, which builds your integrity. Even if you agree to read someone's screenplay, read it. Don't be like the others where they say, oh, I've been so busy, 6 months later they haven't read it. Read it. That builds your integrity. Number 2, learn your strengths and weaknesses. I've discussed this before about your voice and your ability. If you're not strong in structure, focus on that. If dialogue's your strength, then continue to work on that, but learn where your strong suit lies in screenwriting. You have to fire on all cylinders to create a great screenplay and to be a competent writer. And that includes your stamina. Can you write for 6 to 8 hours a day? Can you write, even if you have a day job, can you find the time to stay on schedule without missing days of writing, keeping your writing schedule? Number 3, build a professional reputation as a team player and collaborator. I mentioned this before. I cannot mention it enough. This is daily discipline. And when you get those notes, you want to get them back and say, yes, I understand. And you have to be the person, the go-to person for the producers and executives and director, that they trust you implicitly and they want to keep you around, which means you're going to be on every every draft and hopefully through the production process, and your name is the only name that's on the credits, written by. Number 4, carve out a writing schedule and a place to write. I mentioned this before about how important it is, your location, your environment for writing, and also the daily schedule. There's going to be forces of procrastination and distraction that want to keep you from writing. You have to fight against those. Shut off the internet. Close the door. Tell your family, I can't do it right now. I have to have an hour to myself. You need this. Number 5, empower yourself by doing your homework. This means reading screenplays. This means seeing movies, and also reading the trade papers and different internet sites that you can learn about the film business and what's going on, keeping up to date about your business, what's selling out there. Number 6, detach from the work and the outcome. As I mentioned before, it's extremely important not to take things personally. It's film making, it's a business, it's Hollywood. So you choose your battles wisely. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but the ultimate idea is get the project made and move on to the next one. Number 7, take responsibility for your career. Do not be a victim and blame others. Well, the agent just didn't understand it, or the producer is an idiot. The producer who has 100 credits is an idiot, right? Okay, who's the idiot? Take responsibility. Do something every day to push your career that step closer to a reality. If you're not doing that, you can only look in the mirror and blame yourself. You can't blame others. Number 8, take chances and don't be afraid to fail. I mentioned this before. Failure, it happens. And we learn from it, and we brush ourselves off, and we get up and we do it again, so that the next time the failure won't be quite as bad. But even when screenplays are purchased, many times they're not made. When I first started writing, I thought everything that I wrote I would sell. Well, I've had 14 assignment jobs, and not every one of those screenplays went on to production for a myriad of reasons. Economics, they lost the actor, foreign buyers are not buying this type of genre, whatever. So don't be afraid of failure, and don't be afraid to take chances. Number 9, practice humility. It's very important to be humble on this journey. If not, you will be humbled. And number 10, be patient. As I mentioned before, it's vital to your journey. It's a lifelong journey, or damn close to it. But if you're busy studying your craft, writing screenplays, and you have multiple projects in the marketplace, you won't have time to sit there and be impatient. You have to realize this is a long process, and you have to be in it for the long haul. So be patient.